California considers a per-mile road charge as gas tax revenue is expected to decline. Yet another way California is going to extract more money, more fees, more tolls from its constituents. What could go wrong? Let's get into it. Here we go.
I'm Carlo Cicchetto. Caltrans is now taking a close look at a proposed per-mile road charge, which could be applied to all drivers across the state. CBS 8's Richard Allen is here now with how drivers are reacting. And Richard, you also have where a similar plan is already in effect.
Well, that's right. And we are very familiar with this sort of proposal down here in San Diego. Now, Caltrans has wrapped up a pilot program on this per-mile road charge, a way to generate road repair funds now covered by the gas tax. And while the state has said that this mileage tax, if passed, would replace the fuel tax, not everyone's convinced.
An innovative way to collect funding for roads and highways based on how many miles you drive.
Innovative. Oh, I love innovative taxation, right? Who doesn't? Who doesn't? The big rub for me is, when are they going to do this shift? Because we're not anywhere near, and even California isn't anywhere near the number of electric cars that they think they're going to have, that they're committed to have by 2035, like 15 million. We're not even remotely close. And yet, looking for ways to extract that money because they know it's coming. So innovative? That just means a really easy way to take money from your pocket.
Instead of how many gallons of gas you buy.
The state is calling it the road charge, in their words, paving the way toward California's transportation future.
Paving the way.
Toward a zero-emission future, the gas tax won't last forever.
Currently, that 59-cent a gallon gas tax, the highest in the nation, pays for about 80% of California's road repairs.
Number one.
Drivers switching to electric vehicles, the state is anticipating less funding for those repairs, leading to this proposed mileage fee for drivers. Earlier this year, Caltrans completed a pilot program to test out a road charge system, which included a flat per-mile fee of 2.8 cents per mile, as well as an individualized fee based on a vehicle's fuel economy. The pilot also tested alternate ways of reporting mileage to the state, including odometer readings, as well as a transponder device that could measure the number of miles traveled.
Odometer readings or a transponder. Going to track you. Where have you been? How far'd you go? Was it uphill? Was it downhill? What was your route? Where'd you end up? What were you doing there? All in the name of, well, we gotta fix the road somehow. Those damn electric cars, they don't require any gasoline. Hence, we can't just, R-word you on the gas tax anymore.
Not surprisingly, many drivers are not giving this idea the green light.
I don't think it's a fair situation. I think maybe paying like kind of a set fee across the board would be a good idea. And maybe it's a lower fee, like, something comparable around like 100, 150 where families can afford that.
Currently, Hawaii.
Are they gonna reduce the gas tax then? Are they gonna reduce that? One of these numbers where you go like this, is that kind of, no, they're just going to pile it on, and they're just going to tell you, well, we need this during our transition period. This is what we're doing. So what that woman wants is what she wants. Well, we got to pay something. Maybe 100, 150. She's just throwing that out there. That's affordable. But the reality is you've got massive infrastructure in California, and your ability to repair it is decreasing because it's so dependent upon the gas tax, which California is working its way out of. And so here we are. What's fair? What's fair for who to pay?
Is the only state with a mandatory per-mile road usage charge.
Hawaii.
For electric vehicle drivers who pay $8 per 1,000 miles driven, capped at $50, or an annual fee of $50. Drivers must report their odometer readings during an annual vehicle safety inspection.
An extra tax like this would really hurt.
El Cajon Mayor Bill Wells calls this idea of a per-mile road fee a regressive tax.
Somebody who's upper middle class or wealthy, they can afford it. It's fine.
Yep.
But, the very people that we always say we're trying to help, the middle class and the poor, they're going to suffer from this pretty significantly.
Some drive.
And with the way that West Coast, Best Coast cities are structured, the only place that the working class, middle class, and working class can afford to live is way the F out from employment centers. That's where the affordable housing is. The truly, hey, on my budget, on my income, I can afford this. So they're the ones that are going to end up paying all these bills. People driving a lot, people driving a ton because they need that higher paying job in the city and they can't afford to live in the city because, it's $1 million plus in so many of these markets. People aren't making enough money for that, especially with today's interest rates. So, yeah, does this make sense? Well, it is. It's a regressive tax. It taxes those who can afford it the least. So they'll come up with something. They'll come up with some way to just get money out of everybody, right?
Drivers say while they want California's roads to be well maintained, they're not convinced this is the right way to fund it.
I'm up for more information. I think we should keep going with this discussion and then see what's fair and right for us.
Oh, you're gonna.
Many critics also have concerns over privacy, especially if a transponder device is used to track travel data that is then shared with the state.
It's an article from back in March that covers the beginning of when this program was started, the tracking program. Hey, we gotta tax you somehow as California transitions to a carbon emissions free future. That's a long way down the road, folks. Let's be honest. That is a long, long way down the road. I mean, this is not an overnight deal. And so much of this has just been, that's what we want to do. This is what we think we should do. And the reality is such that this isn't going to be implemented for a very, very long time moving forward. And yet now you've got these, income streams that aren't matching up with, budgets. And all of a sudden you're going to have all these wonky, where are we going to get money to pay for the roads? One of my thoughts was, why don't you, as a state, not become give up your sanctuary status? I mean, how many billions would that save? How about supporting the homelessness less? What about that? Homeless folks, you guys are on your own. You're going to have to figure it out. Hey, why don't you just all take a hike up to Oregon? I hear Portland's lovely this time of year. Some of those kind of things. What about cutting down the budget? Oh, we can't do that. We got too many blue programs here. We got to fund all this ridiculous social nonsense instead of paying for the roads because one of our programs is torpedoing the ability to fund road repair because we went down this crazy train of only electric cars down the road. Gas tax is 59 cents per gallon. Seattle or Washington states, I want to say it's in the 40s. I mean, we're nowhere near 60 cents a gallon, but we've also got this cap and trade thing. So we've had more expensive gasoline here in Washington state than California has recently. Number one, numero uno, el primero. The country's highest rate and has generated about $78 billion in revenue in 2023. Those are massive, massive numbers. So you can see why the state's like, oh, good Lord. We've been committed to carbon-free emissions, which is never going to happen. But, it's progressive and we want to talk about it and we want to think about it. And that's what we're doing. We're reimagining, reconsidering how to pay for all that stuff that the gas tax now does. However, the reliability of gas taxes to fund future infrastructure projects is in doubt. I have concerns. It's in doubt. Safety issues. I love all those words because it just means that's happening. Yeah, not going to have the gas taxes if California keeps going down this crazy train road where you've eliminated, basically new cars that run on gasoline, but you don't have a power structure. You don't have a power grid that can handle it. It's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. All right, let's do this. This should be fine. And rubber hits the road, literally. Oh, this isn't going to work out. Caltrans says right now about 80% of California's highway and road repairs are funded by the gas tax. Most of it, right? Governor Gavin Newsom signed an executive order in 2020 requiring all new passenger vehicles sold in California to be zero emission by 2035. Oh, good luck with that, you podcaster. That's so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Remember when Joe Biden said, we're going to have rely on fossil fuels for at least another 10 years, at least another decade. And you're like, what are you talking about? And here we go. Here's that program. Under California's landmark electric car mandate, which is completely unnecessary, pillar of Governor Gavin Newsom's climate change agenda, 68% of all new 2030 model cars sold in the state must be zero emissions, increasing to 100% by 2035, when 15 million electric cars are expected in California. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's see that as reality. Not seeing that happen. But whatever. We might as well just talk some nonsense, because that's what we seem to do in California, just talk a bunch of nonsense. Currently, according to Caltrans, California drivers of gas-powered vehicles pay about $300 a year in state gas taxes. Owners of zero-emission vehicles, model year 2020 and newer, those drivers are charged an $118 road improvement fee on their annual registration renewal. So, they're going to tag you one way or the other. Hey, we're not buying any gasoline. Not buying any gas. We need to stick them with the road improvement fee. The road improvement fee. When are they going to start stripping away some of these fees and start stripping away some of the payment on this just absolute nonsense? Never. Never. That's why people are voting with their feet and they're moving out of California. Now, however, the state is exploring changing all that by implementing something called the California Road Charge. We're going to stick you. Program tracked how many people drove each month through 3 reporting methods: plug-in devices, vehicle telematics, and photographed odometers. Doesn't this just sound invasive? Doesn't this just sound like something you don't want to be involved in? All right, I got to pay, and they need to know how many miles I drive. So now I'm sending in pictures of my odometer. How do they know it's the right odometer? Are they going to register my odometer? Is my odometer going to be on some kind of list? Is my car going to be on some kind of list? Am I going to have one of those barcodes at the reader when you go over the bridge where it's a toll road? Just basically, boop. Probably, right? That's probably how they're going to do it. So when you're running around, you're getting tagged. You drove from here to here. Interesting. All right. Well, that's 2.5 cents for you for that entire trip per mile. Mileage rate set 2.5 cents per mile for light duty vehicles like cars and other vehicles weighing less than 10,000 pounds. And for the big boy heavy duty vehicles, it's dependent upon their weight. Biggest problem is what you actually do about electric vehicles, because you actually want people to buy electric cars. And do you? Do you really want people to buy electric cars? Is it that big of a deal? Is it that much of a deal breaker? Do you have to have them buying electric cars, or is it more recommended? Hey, it'd be great if you bought an electric car because, emissions. Now, one of the biggest inducements is, you don't have to pay the gas tax on electric cars. Right, but they're going to get you one way or the other, right? Let's hear what some of the cons have to say, right? Republican lawmakers have rallied against the gas tax and called for its elimination, as California now has the highest average gas prices in the nation, soon to go higher, because you got 2 refineries that are going to close. 17.5% of the gas supplied to the state is going to be eliminated with those 2 closures. Now, there's last minute talks going on right now, but the first refinery is going to close in October next month, and the next refinery is going to close in April of 2026. So you've got a chunk of the gasoline, diesel, whatever it is, that's going to get refined. It isn't going to get so they're going to have to go further, bring in more fuel, bring in more oil from, the Middle East. Or gas prices are just going to spike because they're not going to have the amount that they need to run everything in California. And California has a massive, massive, massive demand for gas products, for all that good stuff: heating, fuel, diesel, gasoline, all that. Some Republican lawmakers oppose the pilot program and don't believe the road charge is a viable way forward. As long as we fail to build housing and adequate supplies to house our workforce near their jobs, and that's never going to happen in California, specifically where you've got the big employment centers, it's just not going to happen. You don't have the ability to do that. Then the working poor are still going to be paying far more in vehicle miles traveled fees than their wealthy counterparts. And it's so true. It's so true. This is a tax on the back of the working class because they drive a lot, because they got to commute into wherever, because not everybody can sit at home and work remotely and drive 3 miles a week. Yeah, I went to 7-Eleven today. This is fundamentally unfair and targets those who can least afford to pay the fee, wrote Senate Republican Scott Wilk in 2021 opposition letter to the pilot programs. Manville points out that the current gas tax setup has many advantages. Anyone who buys gas tax pays the gas tax. Doesn't matter where they live or if you know anything about their car, Manville said. And when you're buying, gasoline for other things, say your chainsaw, you're doing a little mix, still paying for the roads, right? Still paying for the roads. Although the consumption on those kind of engines is minimal in the overall picture. He also highlights another advantage: the low administrative costs associated with running the gas tax, which means that more funds go to infrastructure projects. Yeah, because it's going to take money to do hey, we're checking up on your odometer. Hey, we're checking up on, we know exactly where your car's been. We're going to charge you based on that. That's going to cost a bunch of money. All those programs cost money. Whereas now, you're buying gasoline. Ding, 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 59 cents a gallon. State is a few years away from implementation as the pilot program just concluded. Still requires future legislation to become a reality. What do you think that reality is going to be? What does that look like? And how soon do they put that in place? What's the timeline here? Because they're really rushing things along. They are really rushing things along in California in an unnecessary effort to get rid of all, basically gas cars, gas, diesel, whatever it is. Huge push, huge virtue signaling progressive push that's completely unnecessary, wildly unnecessary. And yet we're going to do it because we want a virtue signal. Oh, we're so much better than you. California is so much better than you. We are leading the way in clean air and all this stuff. And then you got a bunch of states that are like, don't really care. You got a bunch of countries, India, China, just billowing up carbon emissions into the sky, just polluting the earth. Couldn't give an F, right? Here's California. Look at us go. And then the residents, the constituents are like, oh, yeah, look at us go. We're just getting drilled with more expenses, with more fees, with more just absolute layer after layer after layer of life expenses, making things more expensive. This is one more layer that's going to happen because it has to. Otherwise, the roads just absolutely fall apart. Boop. And, as much as you want to say, well, California's already falling apart, you gotta hold together with baling wire and a little bit of Scotch tape what you've already got, right? And that's what this is an effort to do. That's where they're going with all this. All right. It'll be interesting to see what they actually come up with. Interesting to see how they throw this out there as legislation. What does that actually look like? I'm sure California and whomever becomes governor after podcaster Newsom, they're gonna have some interesting stuff to reckon with, because all of this progressiveness, you got to pay the Pied Piper at some point. When's that going to be? Sooner than later. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.